Welcome, everyone, to the Forward 2030 Clark County Community Transportation Vision. We're very excited that you're joining us, and this public meeting will start by letting me introduce myself. I'm Marie Keister. I'm with Murphy Upson, and I'm part of the project team. But I'd like to turn it over to Glenn Massey, who is a transportation planner with the Clark County Transportation Coordinating Committee.
Hi, everybody. We just want to welcome you here with us today. This is our first online public meeting for the Clark County Community Transportation Vision Forward 2030. We conducted a couple of these meetings at City Hall, and we just wanted to extend one out to you virtually so that we can make sure everybody gets the information they need. We want to thank you all for your participation in the surveys that were done. We sent out 11,000 surveys throughout Clark County. We've gotten just under 1,000 of those back. So we want to thank you all for your participation in that. And we look forward to good results with that. And we'll go back to Marie.
Well, thank you, Glenn. Well, you're going to hear from three of us tonight. You've already heard from Glenn. You're going to hear from him again. And you're also going to hear from Andrew Parker. He is our project manager with Trans Systems Corporation. He's a transportation planner, and he's going to be sharing a lot of great information tonight. Our agenda is to, first of all, tell a little bit more about what Forward 2030 is all about. And Andrew is going to talk about the existing transit service, both in the city of Springfield and throughout the county. And then he's going to talk about proposed alternatives. These are options to improve the service that is there today. And then there are going to be alternatives. There's an opportunity for you to comment online, and you're going to see a link crawl across your screen that tells you where you can find all of this information and then give us your input as well. So as we move on, we're going to walk through several slides. And again, we encourage you to check out the online survey. And with that, I will turn it over to Andrew. Actually, I take that back. I'm going to turn it over to Glenn. Glenn is going to give you the overview.
That's all right. I was ready for Andrew to take off with it. Well, again, we're going to walk through several slides. We won't be doing questions and answers at this point, but we do have an online survey that can be picked up on clarktcc.com/forward-2030. So if you've got that, and that's going to be popping up on your screen here very soon, and we'll get right into it. So just an overview, the purpose of this project was to determine our mobility needs throughout Clark County. We've learned over some years that we've got limitations to the city of Springfield, which has public transportation, which is Springfield City Area Transit. And we have some human service transportation agencies that provide some county transportation, but it's all agency-based. So what we wanted to do was take the time in this study to review what we currently have and how we could possibly build on that. We also wanted to develop a vision and implementation strategy, which is what we're working on at this point. As we collect information through our public meetings, we'll go back to the drawing board on that. And then we want to expand and improve community transportation throughout Clark County over the next 10 to 15 years. Currently, we do have connections with Champaign County, but we'd like to even get some transportation options that will cross over the borders for us as well. Project goals. We want to improve on our availability for all Clark County residents. Now, we currently have human service transportation options for seniors, individuals with disabilities, and some low income, but we really haven't put a huge focus on job access. And that's what we want to do with this, along with those others. So they're all equally important at this point, but giving options to the community, the residents of Clark County, is the most important thing for us. Our steering committee is made up of Human Service Transportation Council members. We started the Human Service Transportation Council in 2013. It's made up of a number of agencies. We got about 15 agencies in all. Also, with the member agencies. We have the City of Springfield officials. We've got a couple of city commissioners that have a keen interest in this. Clark County officials, including county administrator. Springfield City Area Transit riders. We are currently recruiting for a couple of riders to be a part of this as well. And then we're going to be talking to SCAD operators.
Well, thank you, Glenn. So if you're sitting there watching, what your role is to help inform and guide the Forward 2030 alternative selections. We want you to provide feedback on what you're seeing here today and at future public meetings that we'll have later this year. And you can also review and provide feedback on the exhibit boards, and those are also online, again, at clarktc.com/forward-2030/forward. So now Andrew is going to let us know what's out there today.
Thanks, Marie. My name is Andrew Parker, as Marie mentioned earlier, and I am the Senior Transportation Planner at Trans Systems. We are the transit planner on this project. So right now, most of the transit service in the county is focused on Springfield, at least for the general public. There's 7 fixed routes that operate in the city. Most of those routes run every hour, except for the red route, which operates every 30 minutes. There's similar riderships along all the routes except for the green and pink routes, where the ridership is lower. And most of the ridership occurs between 10 and 2. There's also a demand response component to the transit system in Springfield. If you are ADA certified, anyone within 3/4 of a mile of a fixed route can call up to 24 hours in advance and schedule a trip. That fare is twice the fixed route fare. And then if there's any more room on those buses, the general public can ride that service as well, regardless of any disability status you may have. And that one-way fare is $4. There's also demand response service in the county. Now, this isn't for everyone. This is for program-based clients, including seniors, people who go to certain jobs, veterans, some people who go to disability services or mental health services. There's a one-way fare, and it varies by program, and these are provided by a variety of different providers, which you see in the blue box to the right of the slide. There's also some private mobility services in the county. These aren't ridden as much. Uber and Lyft do provide some limited service in the county, but it's cost prohibitive to ride very often. There's also some private and community carpooling going on in the county. There's e-scooters, which are not on the street right now, of course, since it's winter, but you'll see them in the summer. They're called Bird. And there's also a free application-based rideshare program, which is like a van pool for residents in Clark County. So these these are alternatives we've come up with. We've looked at demographics. We've talked to stakeholders. We've looked at surveys, which Glenn mentioned earlier, to come up with these alternatives. And I want to highlight right now the demand we've seen based on demographics in the city. There's 4 high demand areas for transit in the city. There's a South Side in the Lincoln Park and Oakwood Place neighborhoods, Mercy Hospital downtown in the neighborhood directly west of that hospital, the Arlington neighborhood, and the North Village Square neighborhood, and that is far north near the area of Northridge. All of these areas currently receive SCAT fixed route service. So I want to go over the city alternatives first. These would replace the current service that you see in the street right now. The first service would be a crosstown route linkage. So this would allow everyone to transfer to every route downtown. Currently, you can't, when you get downtown, you may not be able to transfer to every route there. You may need to wait half an hour. In this case, we would combine the green and the green and yellow routes and the red and pink routes in order to have an hourly service on all routes. This would allow people to go from all over the west side of town and the east side of town without transferring. This is a little more radical change to the service right now. The idea behind this is that certain parts of the fixed route system have more demand than others. This would have 30-minute service on parts of the routes nearest to downtown, and then these routes would branch. Every other trip would do the branches that you see on the map right here. So those would be every hour. I'd like to call attention to a new route that would be in this system, and this would be the gray route on the far right hand of the map, and that would be designed to hit work trips at the Ohio Prime Industrial Park during the rush hours. And in the middle of the day, it would go somewhere near the Walmart on the east side of town. This alternative would basically eliminate the fixed route service and create a citywide dial ride service using these zones that you see here. And the idea behind this is that many of the trips now are not trips that people want to take in the city right now are not being served by fixed route. And this would allow for the flexibility for a demand response service to serve those routes instead. And this would not, you would not need to call 24 hours in advance for this one. This would just be an hour or maybe 2 hours in advance. And the idea behind this is that within that hour, people would be picked up or dropped off within these zones. And every hour it would go downtown to the Market Square bus center, where you would not need the reservation to pick up a trip. You would just board the bus to the zone you need to go to, and it would drop you off anywhere within that zone. So these rural alternatives we are going to discuss now are in addition to the city alternatives. These are not replacing the city alternatives that we previously discussed. So in the rural areas, we saw two high demand areas for transit. That is the Green Lawn Village condominium area, which is between Bellefontaine Pike and Troy, Miller, and Johnson Roads, and the Shrine Road and Rolling Terrace manufactured home parks. These are areas just to the northwest of the former Upper Valley Mall. So the first alternative would be no change. So this alternative assumes that basically all the real transit need in the county is being served right now by the social service providers. So no change would be needed to the service. The next alternative would be introduce a zone dial ride system, much like Alternative 3 in the city. This would serve everyone in the county, not just clients of the social service providers. And if you want to go all the way across county, you need to transfer between the west and the east zone, probably somewhere in the city of Springfield. And I'd like to call your attention to the T's you see on this map. Those would be transfers to transit services adjacent to Clark County. So the one in the far, I guess, near South Charleston, you could transfer to Madison City Ride. Champaign County, you could transfer in Tremont City. And then the Dayton RTA fixed route system, you could transfer at the Meyer in Huber Heights. And finally, this would be a flex route system. This idea of this is that there are some areas that people would need more service in the county, but not the whole county. So we've designed these routes to serve the highest amount of general public transit demand in the county. Most of those would be for people just doing errands or having appointments in Springfield. So there'd be one round trip on each of these routes, with the exception of Route 1, which has the green dots, and that would be designed for work trips to Ohio Prime from the west part of the county near New Carlisle.
So I'll take over on the next steps. Thank you so much, Andrew. And as we mentioned, every one of those exhibits that he displayed are available on the website, and there is a survey where you can walk through that and look at those visuals. There's also a digital fact sheet that you can download and share with others to seek their input as well. So we just welcome all your input, and Glenn would welcome a call directly on his line too, as he mentioned earlier. So what we'd like to do is review and digest all your comments. And of course, the steering committee will play a big role in that too. We will further refine those forward 2030 alternative options that you saw today. And then we'll seek public feedback at another meeting later this year. So if you have comments, we'd like you to get them in by March 7th. We'll, still take comments anytime, but that way we can start to wrap everything up and really digest. So Glenn, would you like to say a few final words before we adjourn?
Yes. Thank you, Marie. I just want to thank Marie and Murphy Epson, and I want to thank Trans Systems and Andrew for everything that they've done in building this. We did a study about in 2009 and never really gained traction, but I've got really good feelings about this. A lot of that comes from the community response we've already received. A lot of people on the surveys have responded in a very positive manner toward public transportation. Now, many said that they probably would not use it, but they support it for those that need it. And I just want to thank you for that consideration for your community members, because there are people that have a need. Just to give you an example, due to an illness about 10 years ago, I utilized demand response to get the doctor's appointments because I was unable to drive. In 2017, I broke my ankle, was unable to drive again. I utilized Dial-A-Ride for that. I say that to say you just never know. I mean, you could be at your healthiest and have a public transit need. You may have a loved one that has a public transit need. So this is for the greater good of everybody. And we do appreciate those of you that have responded to the survey and have given consideration to those that are in need. Thank you all.
Well, thank you, Glenn. We'll close right there and hope you enjoyed this. And if you have any questions, review it again and we'll get back to you. Thank you.